All right, welcome back to Getting Sober ... again, and today I'm going to answer another question, and the question is, when and why did I start drinking? So, how did you start drinking? When and why did you start drinking? Comment below. It's interesting to hear how and why people started drinking, and it's whether it be out of boredom, or it was just like, I don't know, somebody gave me some at a party one time and I never stopped drinking, or, maybe your family members drank, maybe, who knows? Maybe it was just with dinner at home, or maybe it was, it's part of your culture. Maybe you come from like a big Italian family and say everybody drinks wine, or, you're maybe, who knows, whatever, from wherever you're from. Some people like, so I'm Asian, right? And so I'm half Filipino, and a lot of my Asian friends would always say like, yeah, I can't drink. Or if I do drink, my whole face will turn red. And I never had that as a problem. But like, I've had friends, some of my Asian friends, who like their whole face would just turn beet red. And I don't suffer from that, I guess, fortunately. But I sort of wish that I did, so that I didn't spend so much time drinking. But, if anything in the past were different, then I wouldn't be here today, and neither would you. So why did you start drinking? Comment below. And so I'll tell you, I didn't start drinking, honestly, until I was like 21. I think I drank one time underage. So legal drinking age is 21. I think I drank for the first time when I was like 19. And I remember the next morning I had to go to an interview to work at Best Buy. And I went to the interview, like I already got the job. It was orientation for the job. So it would be 19 years old. I was like going to community college or something, and I was gonna be working at Best Buy. And I think I had to leave like the orientation meeting, I think 3 times to go vomit. And what ended up happening was like the night before was the same story from like, I think the last episode, where I was talking about like how like we're all underage or whatever, but like all that there was to drink was like, it was just like a bunch of stuff that would just make you puke. It'd make anybody puke. It was like Mike's Hard Lemonade and like Sea Breezes and stuff like that. And like Southern Comfort, which was like what did me in real quick. And then like Natty Light and stuff like that, just typical college crap. But we weren't really in college. I mean, we were sort of in college, but it was like whoever stayed at home, whoever didn't leave home, whatever, who we were just like townies now, and didn't go off to college. We just had a party or whatever. So I was drinking a bunch, but like I didn't know how much to drink. I didn't know how much you should drink, or how long you should wait for your body to metabolize the alcohol. I didn't know like, oh, your liver and your kidneys can filter out 1 unit of alcohol per hour. Right? I didn't know that. So I just thought like, well, because I can pour it in my mouth and because I can swallow it, look how tough I am. Look how much I could drink. And so I ended up like vomiting violently everywhere. Like I was on the couch, and I think I started throwing up in the kitchen, in like the dishes. There was like dishes in the sink, and I think I threw up all over that. And then I wound up, I think I started in the living room, and I asked somebody to get me a bucket, and like my friends were like, no, you're not puking, whatever. Like you didn't even drink that much. I drank way more than you. And I'm just like, and it was his house. And I was just like, have it your way. I was like, either I'm going to puke into a bucket, or I'm going to puke on it's your floor. Like I don't really care. It's going to come out of me. So he gives me a bucket. I'm puking into that. And everybody, like I'm up closest to the TV, and everybody's behind me in this room. So your 2 choices of entertainment were to either watch me vomit or to watch whatever was on TV, which at the time was like probably MTV, because like that was still a thing. Like, yeah, so it wasn't. So I started there, then I got up, and then I was like told to go somewhere else, like go get some like water or something and sober up. Like nobody knew what they were doing. And then I vomited in the kitchen and the dishes. Then I wound up in the bathroom, vomiting violently in the toilet. And that's where I woke up the next morning to my friend's dad came home and he was like, rough night. He said like, you drink a little too much last night. And then I said, it was the first time I remember saying, I'm never gonna drink ever again. And I was wrong. I drank a lot after that. But so I had to go to orientate. I went straight from there after, I don't know what I smelled like, but I went straight from there to job orientation. And I left, there was nothing in my system. I just dry heaved. I left the orientation 3 times to go dry heave in the restroom at Best Buy. And so that's how that started. And then I didn't drink at all. I was done with drinking until I turned 21, which like 2 years later, roughly. And I was like the first one out of my friends to turn 21. So I'm like a December baby. I had one friend who was born in January. He was a Capricorn, born in January. So he was a couple of weeks older than me, but we were the only ones out of all of our friends that could drink. Everybody else was younger than us by a couple months, right? So I remember, and it was kind of like taboo in my house because like my mom had hepatitis C from a bad blood transfusion. So she had a bad blood transfusion. She had hepatitis C. And so that affects, I don't know if you know, but hepatitis C affects, one of the things that it can affect is the liver. So she completely quit alcohol for a long time, for I think like over a decade, didn't touch it at all. And it was kind of a problem like for my dad. My dad drank a lot all the time until he died. But there was a good period though, like when my mom got sober and basically made my dad get sober. And so there was no drinking in the house. It was a dry house. Everybody was accounted for all the time. There were no like 4-hour trips to go get eggs or whatever. Like my dad was just home. When he came home, he didn't smell like booze. It was all good. Probably like the best time probably the best time from a childhood perspective, probably the best time for my parents. They just had more time to be in love and be sober and transparent and all that. And so like, it was nice to be able to witness that while it was happening. And so like I stopped drinking until I was 21. And then right after I turned 21, I was home for like a semester. And then I ended up moving off to college, where then I was drinking a lot. But like, why? I didn't underage drink. I didn't really find the appeal because it was a rough ride. It was pretty turbulent beginnings for me. Like I was a lot of throwing up, a lot of like sleeping in the backseat of my own car. I would try to like just go to like local bars and like try to have a drink or two. And it was like, oh, this is fun. And not knowing like, oh, you should pump the brakes here. Like just kind of just conserve yourself. Just sip on this, just because you can drink 2 shots in a row, maybe don't drink 2. But like, it's kind of hard. It was hard to drink that. Let me back up. When I was a child, I remember my dad used to give me like sips of his beer. And I remember specifically thinking to myself, I'm never going to have a problem with this because this tastes terrible. I don't know how anybody can get addicted to it. Right. And then, then life happens and you have bills and stuff and you have all of the responsibilities of keeping yourself alive and housed and making healthy decisions. And, so many things can go wrong for you on a daily basis. But yeah, when I was a kid, I tasted beer and I was like, I'm never doing this. That's like the same thing I felt about like cigarettes. I was like, this smells terrible. And even when I did smoke, I was still very much of the opinion, like this smells terrible. Like I was always like, if I ever smoked in the car, it was like the windows had to go down. We would air the car and I'd air the car out after I smoked. I would leave the windows down. I never smoked in the house. I always smoked outside. I would smoke and then I would wash my hands and my face afterwards. I hated it. But I still ended up doing it, semi-casually for a long time. After, I was always socially awkward with regard to like drinking. So like parties gave me a lot of anxiety. I got a lot of social anxiety. And still to this day, like I'm basically, let's just say I'm 40 years old. I'm not, but let's say I'm 40 years old. And I still to this day, like, I get anxiety about going to places. And I'm just like, I know that I'm not going to have that great of a time. and I'm just gonna want to leave. I'm like a what's next person, you know. I have a hard time just like sitting and being in the moment. But then when I realized with drinking was allowing me to just chill for once and be in the moment, and to like ask people questions and like small talk a little bit, you know. So it like ended up being this like social lubricant, like, you know, as it is for a lot of people. And so I ended up taking advantage of that. And just like with the, you know, the American way of thinking, you know, if a little bit is good, then a lot is awesome, right? But then we find out that a lot is not awesome. And so that's kind of like where I'm at now. After all these years, I feel very fortunate that I still have all of this, and I still have like all of this, you know, and I have most of my money. Most of it's gone, but I have what I have now, and I'm very grateful for it. And I have this channel, and I have you wonderful subscribers and wonderful commenters. If you haven't yet, comment below. And it's good to have a community. It's good. Like I'm very glad, and I'm very glad that it didn't get to a point with me that I ended up having to go to a 12-step program or like rehab or anything like that. And totally, I am not at all saying that that's a bad thing to do. If that's something that you feel like will work out best for you, please do it. You know, everybody's journey is different. Everybody, like whatever tool is going to work for you, it's going to work different. It's just going to work differently. I mean, for some people, they're just like, just with regard to alcohol, like you and I know what alcohol does. We know why we traded so much of our time and our money for it. But then there are a lot of people out there, like some of my Asian friends, who are just like, yeah, I can't even have, I don't know. It's like I have like an allergic reaction to it. I don't like it. So it's like, all right, well, that's a bummer. You know, I remember thinking about that. Like, I remember thinking that, like, for my friends, I'm just like, wow, that sure is a bummer. You can't drink. You can't get drunk with us. Well, oh well. But like, you know, whatever your recovery program is, whatever works best for you. And I'll talk about, that'll be another episode in the future, like what, you know, worked best for me. It's just going to be different. I was listening to I think it was a TED talk of a woman who did, I think it was a TSM method. I forgot what TSM stands for, but I will put it on the screen when I do the post editing. I'm not even talk about it. But anyway, so like the story basically was she did all of the 12-step programs, and she went to all the AA in different countries and 12-step programs in different countries. And she paid for all this like guided meditation and got her chakras realigned and did like everything under the sun, and was still addicted to alcohol. But this particular method of treatment ended up being what ended up working for her. But my whole point is everybody's journey is going to be a little bit different in how you approach sobriety and why we use what we use. So for me, it was just like, you know, going out, like I wasn't interested in going anywhere. I wasn't interested in going out to these clubs. Like I was, you know, had quite a run of being an artist and being, you know, a person about town. Going out to nightclubs and dancing and hanging my art on walls and DJing and stuff like that. And it was just like, I needed a little bit of a social lubricant to be that social, to be around that many people. Because otherwise, really personally, I'm just kind of like, I don't care. I don't want to be there. And, but that's not really the attitude that kind of gets you into doors, right? So now that I'm older, you know, I don't care nearly as much. And I know that like, I'm still just as unique and awkward and weird as I was, you know, back then. I have better tools to cope with it. So I don't feel like I have the need to drink anymore. Do I still have cravings to drink? Yeah, I do. But my relationship with alcohol is different. And I was just saying to a friend today, if I could still get buzzed the way that I did when I was in my 20s, without the consequences, then I would probably still be drinking to this day. And but I believe that I damaged some of the receptors in my brain for the dopamine production, and the receptors, I believe, are less than they were when I was a spry young man. It just doesn't work the same way anymore. It's like now if I know that if I were to drink now, I would have to like take just a double shot of something. I would have to take a double shot and have in a beer to get the same effect as what used to just be from just one beer. I remember just having one beer and then being like, woo, I feel silly. I feel a little silly. Who's ready to hear a joke? But now I'm just kind of like, I just grab the stuff. I just grab the alcohol because I want the dopamine. And that sucks. Like I was abusing alcohol to get the dopamine release. I just posted a funny meme. If I do it in post-production, starting a lot today, and maybe in post-production, I'll put the meme up here, but it was something along the lines of like, do you masturbate because you're horny or do you masturbate for the dopamine release? And my response was yes. But yeah, it's just like sometimes it's easy to abuse things that give you a dopamine release, and you're not even really in it for just like the pleasure of it, or why you're using it in the first place, which was like I could have a more pleasurable experience with my friends, and like feel more happiness and dopamine by talking to my friends and relating to other human beings about things, small talk or bigger concepts, or whatever it is, or a genuine celebration. But it just became the like, well, whatever, I've got tequila, and I have tequila. I have tequila in my pantry, and I have some beers, and so I know that all I have to do is consume that, and I'll feel better. And that's and after years of doing that, yeah, I kind of jacked myself. And so unfortunately, I don't get the same kick and the same buzz anymore. But now that I know that, I believe that I've made a better choice and a more intelligent choice by not continuing to do that anymore. So I'm saving money and turning that money into more pleasurable things, like more money, reinvesting in myself and equipment, for this channel. Like I mentioned in a previous video, like this camera, since I started this journey over 2 years ago, that is a different camera than I started. I just ate, I'm sorry. That's a different camera that I started with. That's a different lens than I started with. And it's a different microphone than I started with. These are different lights. I'm using Adobe Premiere, which before, I don't know if you noticed, but these videos are all the way through. This is just me speaking all the way through without editing them. And the reason why I started doing them this way was because I didn't know how to do any video editing. But now I do video edit them, but I still try to go all the way through without cutting. So I don't know if you noticed or if you're even listening anymore, but this has been one long 18-minute and 28-second sequence. So that's all for now. Stay tuned for the next video. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And if you wouldn't mind liking this video, it'll help other people find it. Even if you don't like it, just like it anyway. All right, good luck on your journey, and I'll see you in the next episode.